I had a friend of mine who was like, dude, check out this beatbox cover I can do. And you know, at the time I didn't know anything about beatboxing, like absolutely nothing. My knowledge of beatboxing was probably like Boots and Cats, like not much past that. And he came in and he did like like a really basic, like not, that was probably even more complex than what he showed me, right? And immediately I was like, holy shit, wait, I listened to the Black Eyed Peas and I like that, which the Black Eyed Peas were a thing I listened to when I was younger. I don't know why, but I did. And I was like, I need to immediately learn this. I didn't even know you could do that with your mouth. And so then I immediately went to YouTube and started looking up everything about beatboxing that night.
Hey everybody, welcome to A Life in 6 Songs, where on each episode we embark on an epic trip with our guests to find the songs that are stuck to us like audible tattoos that tell the story of who we are and where we've been to help us figure out where we're going. It's a life story told through 6 songs. I'm your host David Reese, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Carolina and Raza.
Hey.
Hello.
On this show, we come to these conversations with love, kindness, and curiosity to counter the prevalence of hate, anger, and judgment we see in the world. Our guiding view with the nod to Ted Lasso is be curious, not judgmental. Our goal is that by listening to these stories, you can bring more love, kindness, and curiosity into your own life. With that, let's go have a listen together. Our guest today is Tyler Weisbeck, better known as Beatboxer TylaDubya. Tyler began beatboxing in 2010 and since then has competed in international beatbox battles, performed in an a cappella group, and developed a large social media following. As a content creator, he focuses on both the education of and entertainment with the art of beatboxing. Tyla, welcome to A Life in 6 Songs.
Hi, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So to just kick us off, before we get into your actual 6 songs that are going to, tell your story, we just like to warm up with kind of a general question to kind of set the stage. So if you could just tell us a little bit, how do you see music fitting into your life? What role does music play in your life?
I mean, so because I'm a beatboxer, music is everything, right? I just, I beatbox 24/7, so I'm always surrounded by music, whether I am listening to it or I am just, performing it. And I feel like it's kind of shaped every element of my life in that respect, because it's like I met my wife through music because we were in an a cappella group, and just because of beatboxing that got me to the a cappella group in the first place. There's a whole like bunch of story with that stuff, but I just feel like every aspect of music has just shaped my life in that regard. And it's kind of hard not for it to, when again, as a beatboxer, I'm hearing music in my head 24/7. So then I beatbox it. So I don't know if that was, if I described it enough, but I feel like
absolutely.
That's my answer.
Yeah. I think you said it great, because for some people, music may not be their life in the sense of it as it is like for you. They're maybe not a musician or a beatboxer or something like that, but it still has a strong part of their life in that way. And so we always like to just ask that question because it sort of lets people kind of share like, oh, they might be a lawyer by trade, Raza, but music is still a huge part of our life. But yeah, I think you said it great of just it is your life in that way. So which is also why we're excited to have you on the show. So yeah, we're gonna pass it over to Carolina, who's gonna get us going with your first question and first song.
All right, I think let's start at the beginning, right? Young, growing up, parents. What's a song that reminds you of your parents?
So there's like general genres, but I feel like if I was to pick a song, I'd probably say like In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, because like Phil Collins is like one of my mom's like favorite artists. And I feel like she's not like heavy into music, right? So it's when she says like this is my favorite artist, like I feel like that's rare for her. And so I just feel like that song, mainly because, it's like, kind of brings me right back when I hear it to like when you're growing up and it's like a Sunday morning or a weekend or something and you're just chilling around the house. And then I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like with cable television, like there was these channels in like the 9,000s or the 900s, some like ridiculous number that no one ever uses. And it would just play music on loop. It was just like, I guess like a radio station for TV. And she would always put on this like easy listening, like early, like, I don't know what year, decade Phil Collins was specifically, but whatever, decade that was. And it would just like play all that music on loop. But I specifically just remember this song. I don't know why. I just stuck out, and she really liked Phil Collins.
There we go. Phil Collins in the air tonight. Such a great song.
It really is.
I'm so happy we got this song on the show. There's these kind of songs that have been, in episodes we've done where I'm like, yes, this is a song that needs to be on a show where we're talking about people's lives and music, because this is a song that's in everyone's life, I think, in some way. If you've been alive in the last 30, 40 years, somehow you have some memory connected to this song.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more about, growing up with music. Was it a musical household?
No. No, I would honestly say no. Growing up, it's like funny because like there was periods in my life where I wanted to learn to play drums or I wanted to learn to play guitar. And I went through these like interests, but then my parents were like, oh, you'll get bored in 10 seconds. So they never bought it for me. So I never got the opportunity to do that. Right. And so that's eventually why I started beatboxing, right? Because I don't need an instrument. I could just do that.
Just my own
You are the instrument.
Yeah, exactly. Prior to that, I tried to learn how to scream. That didn't go very well. I need to actually follow up on that and learn how to scream properly. But
are there beatbox screamers out there? Are there like heavy metal beatboxers that kind of work that in?
There is one that I'm familiar with. I forgot what country he's from, where I've heard them use screaming vocals in their beats before. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we do that isn't like, I guess, metal screams. Like I kind of incorporate one in something I do. I learned it from like I got inspired from Bring Me the Horizon. There was like a thing they did in one of the really old albums where there's like they like stuttered like a scream and it was sick. And so I use that in one of my things.
Nice.
But I think beatboxers in general, we do a lot of like basses anyways, like yeah, do. So it's like we're already kind of doing vocal techniques like that. And some people just push it to different levels, but I haven't heard a whole lot of like metal scream, which is why I want to learn and like incorporate it in my stuff to be crazy.
Yeah.
But to circle that back to growing up with music, I get sidetracked really quickly. You'll pick up on that, and I'll just yap forever.
No worries.
So
we like to say, hey, we have the songs, and that gives us our structure, and then we just wherever the conversation goes, it goes.
So I think aside from my mom just constantly playing those easy listening channels on, TV, I feel like outside of that, like my dad always played classic rock in the cars. It was the same like radio stations that would loop the same songs on repeat, but he was like a huge classic rock guy. But I feel like that at the extent of that, there wasn't a whole lot of like music that I'm like aware of that I'm thinking about right now. That's kind of why I started beatboxing, because I don't need an instrument.
Yeah.
It sounds like that old saying of what is it? Necessity is the mother of all invention, right? Something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you wanted drums, and for whatever reason, the folks were like, no, it's too loud, too expensive, whatever the case might be.
I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah, and you went around, you're like, you know what? I'm going to do this shit anyway. I'm going to figure out a way. And
That's
the way
right.
is beatboxing.
Yeah,
I wasn't like, I guess that wasn't the reason why I started beatboxing, but we'll get to that in a bit. But I guess it kind of just fell into like the trope of like, yeah, I guess I didn't have an instrument, so then it just kind of worked out. But
Yeah.
But it sounds like what you were saying, like you wanted to play drums, you wanted to play guitar, you had a musical interest early on.
That is true.
Like you were interested in music. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is definitely true.
I think this song too, like David said, it's a part of so many of our childhoods, but like this song even lives on today. Like you'll hear it in music. I mean, you'll hear it in movies, you'll hear it in commercials, you'll hear it in, and then as I was listening to you playing the clip, David, I was remembering that it's like in reels now, it gets to the part of the drum fill and it'll be like somebody falling, like making noises, like hitting things on the way down.
I've seen those. Yeah.
So it's like, it just keeps living on in iterations.
Yeah, for sure. So good.
Phil Collins' son now plays in his live band, and there's clips of him, learning that iconic fill from Phil, not to use that pun.
Drum fill. Oh.
This is about to get so nerdy. But yeah, I mean, talk about generational, connections there. Yeah, this is just one of those songs that just keeps living, and watching
Yeah.
his son playing his father's iconic, song and drum fill and everything. It's certainly, one generation, added on now. So
I'll say I've shared before. I saw Phil Collins as a kid in concert, and it was one of the best concerts still today that I've ever seen. It was like a rotating circular stage, and at one point he gave the whole band like a break, and then he went around to every single instrument and played like a solo.
That's
oh
wild.
wow,
It was the coolest thing I had ever seen as a kid, and still to this day, like, yeah, he was awesome. Amazing.
Honestly, it's so impressive when people can play multiple instruments. Like I honestly, I've tried to pick up guitar once or twice since, and I haven't like fully dedicated myself to it. But to be able to play like multiple instruments, that's wild. Like that's just impressive.
Yeah.
For real.
It requires like completely different parts of the brain too, like, what it takes to do drums and versus piano or keyboards, and then other stringed instruments, and then you've got like brass, and it's completely different. I mean, I know, like, I'll speak for myself. You guys see some guitars back there. I can do that, but I couldn't play keyboards or piano to save my life. But and it's always amazing for me to see people that are using multiple hands to do like a bass part on one hand and the melody part on the other hand. It's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, in some ways too, it's like the physical bodily ability, right? It's like what they talk about with language, right? If you don't learn a certain language, like if like I speak a little bit of Spanish, right? But I didn't learn Spanish when I was young, and so I will always have an accent with it, and there'll be certain sounds I can't make with my mouth unless I like. I would have to really train. But it's just because my mouth has grown up to not make those sounds, and so I think it's similar with instruments in ways, because like I know with me as a drummer, I can get my four limbs going all different kinds of ways, but my individual fingers, not so much, right? So it's this shift, like having to do guitar is like so difficult in ways. I wonder, Tyler, too, with like beatboxing, like you clearly are skilled with making music and incredible sounds with your mouth. Do you think you could be a singer? Like, would that translate, or is it completely different in that same way of like speaking English to Spanish or something?
Okay, so few things. One, singing is completely different. In my opinion, I'm not a very good singer, right? I've never trained in it. I've never done anything with that. If I could learn to sing, so many things in my beatboxing like sound palette would improve, because there's so many sounds that need to be pitched and need to be controlled pitched. And if you can sing, right, that's just going to be improved completely. And there are many beatboxers out there that are very talented singers, and because of that, like they can create more full compositions in a different style that I can't do. So like I typically focus more on like hardcore dubstep EDM stuff, because I'm not as confident in my singing abilities, right? Where if I was to get on a stage and perform, I feel like maybe it's more of a confidence issue with that, right?
Sure.
That's why I'll stick more to like the powerful stuff that I know that I can do. Meanwhile, other beatboxers can go on there and sing, and then they can like pitch all their basses and everything properly. And I don't think they correlate necessarily. I think they're two completely I think they work well together. I think they're two different things. And I feel like a lot of people might disagree with that in the beatboxing community, because to me, it's like singing's a different aspect than beatboxing, even though they kind of go hand in hand, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But again,
and there's probably different opinions, like you said, just like in any community, drummers or guitarists or painters or whatever, like someone who might be more of a, I don't know the exact terminology, but a singing beatboxer, right? What you described there, that has that ability, might see them as more in line, right? Because that's their experience, right? So it's kind of that thing of what your experience is.
Mm-hmm. And what you were talking about too, you're talking about in terms of like age and learning specific languages and stuff. Like it's actually interesting when you actually look at beatboxing, where
Mm.
even beatboxers, because beatboxing is like a worldwide thing. Like I can point out beatboxers from like every country, but like from each country, depending on like maybe certain language, like I guess specifics, right? Like their beatboxing, they might have different sounds that like are
Oh,
more
sure.
representative of their language and how they talk. And I think that's really interesting. I don't have specific
Yeah.
examples off the top of my head, but like I
Sure.
do know I've seen
Sure.
some beatboxes from different countries, and I'm like, oh shit, that's like a normal thing in like your language, but it's like I guess easier to learn for beatboxing, where it might not be as easy for somebody else, right? Where
Right.
their language doesn't utilize that certain like I don't know tongue formation or some shit.
Sure.
Right. Totally. Like, you know, I'm a native Spanish speaker. And we like literally one of the letters of our alphabet are two R's, right? Where we roll our
Yeah.
R's. It's not
Yeah.
a common sound
Right.
in English. But
So
so that
rolling-
probably, yeah, would translate into
Mhm.
beatboxing.
No, very much so. Like, I mean, for one of the sounds that I'm more known for is rolling R's, right? But in like more exaggerated tones. So it's like not like it's like rolling R's. It's more like it's like you're really pushing out the R. But like when you try to explain rolling R's, like if you were a native Spanish speaker, you'd be like, oh, done, easy, cool. I don't need you to
Right,
explain that. Like, I
right.
get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But-
If you
and
if
so-
you were to teach us right now, Carolina would probably pick up that sound
Yes.
easier than I
Probably.
would, because I can't roll my R's in Spanish. Yeah.
Right. And so that I guess that's my point. It's like I guess that was a really good emphasis and great pull on that. So yeah, I think that's what's interesting about beatboxing a little bit. It's just because it does span so many nationalities and ethnicities and everything, where it's just like you see so much variance, right?
That's awesome.
Hmm.
All right. Let's move on to your next song. Talking about like new perspectives, as we're talking about like international influences, you know, that can give you new perspectives as well. So for this next song, what is a song that opened you up to an entirely new perspective?
All right, that one's easy. It's just gonna fan into everything we just said. And it's not going to make sense when I say it. That's why it's going to take a little bit of an explanation. But it is My Humps by the Black Eyed Peas.
What you gonna do with all that junk inside that trunk?
I'ma get you drunk, get you love drunk off my hump.
And for a little context here, because that's not something you would normally think to open up your eyes to a new perspective, right? It was junior year chemistry class in high school, so 2010. And I had a friend of mine who was like, dude, check out this beatbox cover I can do. And you know, at the time I didn't know anything about beatboxing, like absolutely nothing. My knowledge of beatboxing was probably like Boots and Cats, like not much past that. And he came in and he did like like a really basic, like not, that was probably even more complex than what he showed me, right? And immediately I was like, holy shit, wait, I listened to the Black Eyed Peas and I like that, which the Black Eyed Peas were a thing I listened to when I was younger. I don't know why, but I did. And I was like, I need to immediately learn this. I didn't even know you could do that with your mouth. And so then I immediately went to YouTube and started looking up everything about beatboxing that night and just like immediately fell in love with it. So like when I say like that song opened up my eyes to like a whole new perspective, it's just like that just changed like the trajectory of my life completely, which sounds dramatic, but it's really not, because once I listened to that cover and went to YouTube and learned beatboxing, I discovered so many beatboxers from like the UK and from Russia and all these places. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is like insane that there are this many people that do this well. And they were so far more talented than what he showed me in that, you know, class, which is why it was even more of a mind blowing situation. But then like, because I then discovered beatboxing, my Spanish teacher in high school later, like that year, was like, you're going to college, you should look up this a cappella group at this college and join that. I don't know if I joined the right
awesome.
a cappella group, but I joined a cappella, and that's where I met my wife. And you know, that's why it's like it opened to new perspective, because it just shifted my trajectory of life in like a weird way that I never would have predicted.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's something we definitely talk about on this show with our guests. We you know, those moments where music played a part, it was either there at a pivotal point, or here it is the pivotal point, right? The music caused the pivot and changed the trajectory of your life in a way where, yeah, you probably can't even imagine, like, if that song wasn't there, if that interaction didn't happen, like, where would you be, right? Who knows, right? Like, because it gave you this, you know, passion. career
Right.
and just like more than just like, oh, this
Right.
is what I do. It's like, this is who
Right.
you are, and connected you to the worlds where you met your partner and your wife and all of that. So yeah.
Seriously, it really was. Like, it's like, and then because I started beatboxing like that year, I became known as like the beatbox kid in high school, where I eventually did some like talent show. I wish it wasn't. It wasn't like the legitimate talent show. There was like a weird like joke male pageant thing they did in high school, and so there was like a talent portion of that where I did the beatboxing portion of that, and then I even beatboxed at the senior prom or something like that. So I became known as like the beatboxer there.
Right.
And then I just kept doing it in college and still doing it now. So
Yeah.
Nice.
It's amazing how it happens, like in this way of like a lightning strike, right? You're just like minding your own business. And not only were you like, that's really cool, but it sort of feels like it like consumed you. You're like, I need to learn this. I
It
need
was
to
really
do
weird.
this.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like when you describe it, it wasn't like, sometimes things like that can plant a seed, right? That takes a little bit of time. And like after the fact, you can look back and go, oh, I didn't realize it at the time, but that was something, right? Here, it seems more like it wasn't a seed. It was an immediate like passion that started.
No, it really was. I'm serious. Like, I don't know if you guys have looked up beatboxing at all, like on YouTube and stuff like that. But like, if you like just Google beatboxing, you find anything from like any of the like the big known respectable beatboxers, you'll just be like, what the fuck? Like, people are so insane with what they do, and like even when I think back to like the people that I first watched, just like the way it's evolved over 10 years is it's disgusting. Like, the level just gets increased so much because it's like, I guess my point is like, it hasn't been around for very long comparatively to like other instruments, right?
Sure.
So it's like,
Sure.
with other instruments that are more common, maybe with guitar and stuff, maybe it's not as easy to have like, I guess, and Raza, you guys can correct me because you guys play more instruments than I do. But like, how often is it where you see someone do something new on a guitar where you're like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, I feel like there's more guitarists, but beatboxers, like, I feel like it's still kind of budding, where it's like somebody will come up with a new sound and no one's ever heard it before, and we're just like, what are you doing? Like, they're like incorporating like yodel, like double voices and things with zippers, and like it's getting crazy. But I don't know where I was going with this tangent. But I think the point was, when I immediately discovered it 10 years ago, at the level it was still mind blowing. So I can't even imagine, I guess, like if I was to Google today where I would hit. I don't know, maybe I would be more overwhelmed now because I'm like,
right, and be like,
how? Like, I have no idea, because like back then it was definitely more basic. I mean, back then in 2011, something like that. Like, beatboxers were just learning how to use like throat bass, like like that wasn't even common. Now it's like every beatboxer has that within the first year of beatboxing, when that was just being developed back then. So it's like really weird. The level gets increased so fast.
The way you're describing it, it reminds me very much of more of, you know, what you might call the extreme sports or like X game sports, like BMX, skateboard, snowboarding, those types of things, right? It was like people were doing jumps and doing different things. And then all of a sudden, people were just inventing brand new things. Like the first time someone did like a backflip on a dirt bike, right? It was like, whoa, we didn't even know you could do that, right? And so then it just kind of takes off. And it just, the way you're describing beatboxing feels like that same way of like X Games sports, how it just in the past like 30 years or so is just kind of like, not blown up in the sense of just got popular, but blown up in the sense of the creation of the sport has happened in these couple decades.
And like, it's been happening prior to us too. I'm not as well versed in my beatboxing history as I should be, but like, you know, it's been going back to like Rozelle and Dougie Fresh. If you guys have seen like the movie Spaceballs or Police Academy, you know, you've seen beatboxers before. And I guess with the whole X Games thing, though, it is kind of like that. I think I saw a clip or something recently where like Tony Hawk, like back in the day, did the first like 900, and I could be wrong on that number too. But then like now, like a 13-year-old kid did it, or someone really young did it.
Right.
And it's like the same thing is happening with beatboxing, where these young kids are learning to beatbox within a year that took, you know, me years to get to. And I think that's insane. It's phenomenal, right? But it's because like, maybe it's because of, you know, the internet and media too, how there's so much more material at your fingertips to watch and consume. And I feel like maybe that plays a role into the faster education of everything. Because again, we didn't have that. I mean, when I first started beatboxing, there was like maybe like 2 tutorial channels out there, right? Which is why I eventually started making tutorials, because I was like, I want to like start filling, you know, some more updated stuff.
I think you guys are all sort of, we're all basically talking about the same thing in the sense of having an instrument and then sort of learning it, then kind of perfecting it, then revolutionizing it, and then you add this sort of social media aspect of it, which just blows up. um but yeah, I think Tyler, you mentioned guitar. I mean, like back in the 80s, like when Eddie Van Halen came out, right, with the whole like guitar tapping,
Mm-hmm.
no one had heard anything like that. It sounded like a classical instrument, but played on a guitar. People were wondering, well, how do you play that many notes using just your five fingers? And you realize, oh, he's using his other finger as well. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
like the equivalent of 10 fingers making 10 different notes on different octaves and stuff like that. In the same way that you guys, in the beatboxing world, it might be much younger, like in the maybe in the last 10, 15, 20 years or so. I know the idea of beatboxing has been around since the 80s. I think you mentioned Dougie Fresh.
Mm-hmm.
When hip hop was just getting started on MTV, there'd be like little breaks and stuff. But then, I like when I learned about for my kids, actually, I learned, hey, there's this amazing like YouTuber in our neighborhood, Dad. His name is TylaDubya. I'm like, what the fuck? What? Okay, beatboxing, and I was expecting, some very basic stuff. But then
Mm-hmm.
when we started, talking and frankly, I mean, you opened my eyes to this world of beatboxing that I had no idea existed. And the shit that you guys are doing is just amazing. And you, so it's definitely at this level right now where I've never seen anything like it before. And yeah, it'll be cool to see sort of where it goes, from here, whether it's like tutorials like you're doing, or just coming up with new interesting sounds. So yeah. By the way, so how do you find inspiration for like new sounds? What is it? Is it just coming from practice? Is it accidental? Is it trying to replicate things that you might hear like in the EDM world or in the pop world? Like what's what's the formula, I guess?
Yeah, accidental. um, so I think it's going to be a kind
As
of a
most
combination.
revolutions are accidental, by the
Yeah,
way.
it's going to be a combination of a few things, right? So I listen to a lot of like on my like general music taste is more of like metal, and just kind of I guess rock in general. But I guess I do also I guess now it's more occasional than it used to be, but dubstep and like hardcore rhythm and EDM and everything. And I feel like that would influence a little bit, but like I would only try to replicate with the sound palette I already have. So like I don't know if that makes sense. Like so if I they were doing certain things, I try to figure out what I have and how I can make my sounds work into that if I was to cover it or something like that. Discovering new sounds typically for me has always been accidental. So because I'm beatboxing all the time, occasionally I'll just do some weird combination of like two sounds. I'm like, oh shit, hold up. And then I'll record a little bit on my phone to make sure I don't forget that. And then like if it ended up being good, it would just get worked eventually more and more. But with beatboxing, I don't. It's so weird because again, I'm telling you, like new sounds are discovered so frequently,
Mm.
where I see it's like it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. But it's like one beatboxer will do something, it'll go like mad viral within the community, and then like every other beatboxer will start to learn that sound pretty quickly after if it was good enough, right? And so it's like I feel like that's where also a lot of inspiration comes from, is like, and then because then once you learn one sound, and you can learn to combo it with another. So I keep like talking over here, but once you learn one sound and I don't know why I get to the side of the mic, so pulls in the way. Once you learn one sound, then like it adds to your palette, and then you like your brain works in different ways, and you want to combine it with another sound. So it's kind of just like you have to try to add new stuff every single time, and constantly evolve, which is very difficult. The more you get solidified in your style and what you do beatboxing wise, to like learn new stuff and then figure out how to work that in. But so it's like, but those are the people who stay at the top, the people who do that. Like it's like because so many people are learning how to beatbox so quick, you have to like almost evolve or perfect your style. It's like one of the two.
Hmm.
But yeah, mostly
Yeah.
accidental.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Do you find, sorry, just one more quick fan question. Do you find that, okay, so if you're having sort of like the equivalent of writer's block, for example, right? Like you've got all the sound and the interesting sort of new things that you've done, and now you're stuck, for example, do you find the breakthrough in just sort of more practice, or just taking a break from everything and coming back to it maybe a week later or 2 weeks later or whatever?
So I actually hit this about a year ago. So a year ago, I was filming a video where I wanted to train like a specific world like champion beatboxer. So and like I'm friends with him, so I interviewed him and I asked him a bunch of questions on how he trained. He's like, "Oh, I did about 2 hours a day, and stuff like that." And absolutely phenomenal beatboxer, collabs from France, insane, the most talented percussion based beatboxer you'll ever see. Um, but the point is, in that training process to film that video, I was doing 2 hours a day, and I dedicated specific chunks of that time to developing music. And yeah, it was very frequently where I'd be like, I have no fucking idea what to do here. I'm hitting a roadblock. But I still have 45 minutes left to go in the session, and I have to do shit. And I guess like for me, at least with music, it's never worked for me to like force my way through it, like to like just like to bulldoze through it. It's like that's why it's like I don't think I've developed a whole lot in a little bit, because I've focused more on content creation now, which I need to get back to focusing on music as well. But in the past, when I was more pushing my own music on the side of things back in college and stuff like that, it was always like if I hit a roadblock, I wouldn't ever be able to like force my way through it. It would have to be like it just hit one day where like I was like just, fucking washing my hands, doing the dishes or taking a shower. And it was like, boom, like I got it. And it would just like hit out of nowhere. Like, and again, like with every idea I typically get, I have like a voice memo that's just full of like hundreds, if not thousands of voice memos that are just ideas. Cause I'll forget a rhythm. Even if I'll remember something, I might forget the rhythm or the pitch or something. So I record it all. And sometimes like, I'll go back through and I'm like, oh wait, that would work really well with that piece. And I could fill the gap here with this. So mainly random. Mainly I wait for the inspiration just to kind of hit, because I guess I don't know. I've never been able to force my way through music. And I don't know if that's really like an inspired way to do it anyways for me. So
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
calculated randomness.
Kind of. Except not
Nice.
calculated, because I don't know when it's ever going to hit.
Right. All right. So given that this friend kind of alerted you to this new perspective or exposed you to this new perspective, like we're always grateful for friends and the music that they bring us and give us. Does he know he like changed your life in that way? Before I go to our next song here.
So I have no idea. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like we personally kind of like lost touch. I didn't really keep in touch with too many people after high school. But I feel like I kind of lost touch with him. But so I don't know if he has, but I feel like he probably does, considering it's really random. But my brother, who's like 7 years younger than me, his girlfriend right now ended up rooming with him because they're both like nurses at the same, like thing. So it's like a weird like full circle event where like this kid that taught me how to beatbox, which changed the trajectory of my life, is now rooming with my brother's girlfriend. It was very strange. It was very full circle and weird. So I'm sure on some level he has found out, he probably also sees what I do to a degree. So he probably is like, oh shit, I did that. And that's probably, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, thank you to him.
I probably should have told him. Sorry, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle. All right. So speaking of friends, sometimes music just reminds us of those folks that we just like love spending time with. So for your next song, what is that song that reminds you of just a good friend or a group of friends in your life?
See, I feel like there's a lot, like, right? But I feel like, because like, I have certain songs that are more like, I guess more free, like current life, where like there's like Kingslayer by Bring Me the Horizon. But like the one, like, I guess when you think, I have like a very specific memory with this, where it's like Weekends by Skrillex, where I remember specifically back like senior year of high school. I feel like it's so weird how these two questions are both in high school. I haven't even talked or thought about high school in a while.
It's one of the goals of the show, right? Take us back.
But I remember specifically this song, and I don't know why. It was a group of friends, and we all went to an amusement park, King's Dominion, and we were like, we're gonna film a stupid fucking music video. And I don't know if it was actually the intent to go there and do it, but again, I've been creating content for a very long time in my life, right? I started back in middle school creating content, which I don't even know how. That's like what. I don't know how young I don't know the age of anything, but middle school, where I was just creating, some videos with my friends, which I'm sure are still on the internet somewhere. but the point is, so I've always made videos. So then I was like senior year of high school. We were done, I think, with high school at that point. We were summer, and we went to an amusement park, and we were like, we're gonna film a music video for this. So it was just like a video where we just filmed dumb shit in an amusement park. Nothing made sense. It was so stupid. But then like I edited it to a music video because again I've been creating content forever. So I just have this like, and I don't think that's on the internet anymore. I don't have. I would have given it to you if I had the the actual file for it. But God, that's like. It's 12 years ago now. It's an old computer at my parents' house. It's probably been trashed at this point.
Yeah. Lost.
Yeah, it's just gone to the abyss right now.
Yeah.
And I remember just uploading it, and I'm pretty sure it got like demonetized because licensing, and it just did not use
Sure.
And then I'm pretty sure, and I also pretty sure I got a shit ton of dislikes because I'm pretty sure I titled it like music video when it's not the music video for it. So everyone's like, this isn't the fucking music. I'm like, well, no shit. This is a bunch of grainy ass footage in a car. Like, I don't know what you guys expect, but no, it just reminds me of like that time, just like where you're I don't know, no fucking stress in life, where you're just like, stupid. I like a fear fest, like October or something. Like, oh, it was October. Yeah.
Nice.
Whoops. Probably wasn't in summer then. My timelines are off.
That's all right. I'm the same way. Let's take a quick listen so everyone can know. Skrillex Weekend. Full disclosure, I love dubstep. I love electronic music. Just being a drummer when I was in college back in, the late 90s, and breakbeat in Florida was huge, DJ Icy and these folks, and preparing for this episode, hearing this just again reminded me how much I love it and the percussive aspect of it. But it also took on a different flavor because I've also been just watching a good amount of beatboxing this last week in preparing,
So you probably have seen some of the people that I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned a few names and I'm like, oh, I seen, and I was, watching a couple of your videos too, just, doing my good host research and whatnot. But I just like, and this is why I was like, okay, this song for me in setting up the interview has to be in here because it feels so strongly connected to beatboxing, like dubstep and beatboxing. Just the sounds and things, there seems to be this similarity. So I was just really wanting to hear your viewpoint on that. I mean, you said you're a beatboxer that kind of does beatboxing that is in that sort of genre, but I was curious if you could just tell us a little bit more about that relationship between the two art forms.
Yeah, no. So like, that's why I think it's like, God, it's so interesting because again, with beatboxing, there are so many different styles and every artist has their own way. It's just like music, right? It's like every beatboxer in a respect is their own musician, whether, they're just doing percussion, they're working in vocals or whatnot. But like, there are certain beatboxers who are known for just creating dubstep tracks, right? Where they're like, there is one beatboxer, actually from Virginia, Vocoda. He is a phenomenal dubstep beatboxer. He's actually worked with Excision and did a song with them, and like his vocal bases are so controlled. He can hop on a mic and go for like 30 plus minutes, just fluid, nonstop, just dubstep rhythm, like through and through. But some like the first beatboxers I learned that were so heavily integrated with dubstep were like Reaps One. Like that's one of the first beatboxers I ever learned from the UK, and I'm pretty sure dubstep kind of originated out of the UK. So it was really interesting when we saw a bunch of UK beatboxers doing dubstep at that time and learning how to integrate it into what they were doing. And I feel like because I listened to dubstep so much, that's how I started developing what I do, which is more like hardcore drops and dubstep and stuff like that, where I don't know, man. I wish I lost my train of thought here on this answer, but it's very heavily integrated. And I feel like I guess to kind of just one more off that, when I mentioned like the UK beatboxers doing dubstep, it kind of goes back to like every country. You kind of like see every country's beatboxers. They all hit like a similar style, which is very interesting. Like you can hear a beatboxer like from the US and be like, yeah, they're from the US. I get that. Or like you can hear a beatbox from the UK. You can be like, oh yeah, like they'll do like maybe more drum and bass or dubstep. And like there are just certain things that, the culture will influence, right?
Sure.
Or just even sound palettes and everything, like certain beatbox. Because I mean, keep in mind too, like beatboxers, we all kind of know each other to a respect because it's not the largest community. It's actually a lot bigger than I think. But like in terms of people who like do meetups and stuff like that, like we all know each other, so we learn sounds from each other, so then it all kind of like integrates. So like America's known for more like powerful, sounds and like not necessarily dubstep, but like powerful like drops and stuff like that, where other countries might be focused on like just more melodic stuff or just groovy things. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah.
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 Definitely. I know when I've seen just different hip hop artists coming up, um, whether it's Asian, whether it's European, you're absolutely right. I hear the influences of the local, like, South Asian music or East Asian music, or European with the I'm guessing the beatboxers that are incorporating dubstep is probably more of like a European type vibe. Um, I know that I've, like, in watching some of the newer sort of Bollywood related music videos and things like that, there's this really cool influence of hip hop, like you know I guess raps and the rhythmic structure in how hip hop is going, but then incorporate like local instrumentations and local sounds and things like that. And I can only imagine if there was a beatboxing element to that, that would just completely just blow everything away.
I'm blown away by just how much it's evolved. Like for me, my earliest memory of beatbox is like Bismarcky, and that's so
Mm-hmm.
percussive and just ingrained in hip hop. And so the fact that
Mm-hmm.
like you've got like look at where we are today with
Mm-hmm. People
dubstep. I mean,
crazy.
it's bananas. Like I love the innovation. I think it's super
Mm-hmm.
super cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks for sharing that one. Oh, did you have something else, David?
I was just going to ask one question because, we have a beatboxer on the show and, hey, he loves beatboxing. And so if we could, open up our viewers' eyes who might not be in the beatbox community, right? This show is not a life in 6 beatbox songs or something like that, right? So viewers could be coming from all different areas. I was curious, not to kind of put you on the spot in this way, but in talking about those regional differences, can you give us, I know you have your genre that's yours, and so that's the one you're the best at,
Mm-hmm.
but could you give our listeners a taste of like what your style is, and then if you are able to do anything of a different style in any sense, what that might look like?
So not necessarily, because again, like I feel so the answer is like yeah, I probably could, but I would be doing a very poor representation of it because and
Sure.
I say that to respect of like, for what I do, like I've just developed my style around what I do, right? I could replicate one thing that beatboxers do a lot is they do like copy melodies. So people will do like copy beats from other beatboxers and they'll integrate like 50 of them into one video. That's something that I personally have not been very great at in the past because people use certain sounds and just do certain things where it's just like, maybe I can't do it to that degree of quality. Right. So it's like, I don't ever try.
Yeah. Yeah. And right.
So,
And right as I asked the question, this is also too of like, for beatbox novices, right,
mm-hmm.
who we all are, the 3 hosts, right, we know of it but we know nothing about how it's done. Right as I was asking the question, using what we talked about before of kind of like the difference between knowing certain languages, I basically kind of asked you like, okay, some people speak English, some people speak Spanish, and some people speak French. Could you give us an example of someone speaking English and then someone speaking French, which you may not speak, right? And you would be like if someone asked me that, I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try and show you what French sounds like because I don't speak it. So,
well, the thing is, it's not quite like that. I know what you're saying, though. It's not quite like that. But like, because like I could replicate some beatboxers' specific beats. Like I could, but it would be still in my own style, right? Because like,
sure, right.
It would be like I could do your pattern. I can do similar patterns. I can do structures that are the same. I can replicate your cover to a degree, but like it would never be them. Because again, every beatbox sound is even like people will have different kicks or they'll have different snares. Like there are some beatboxers who are known for how clean their is compared to other people, right? And so it's like I'll never be able to hit it exactly right. But trying to copy other beatboxers and practice their beats is a great way to evolve and push.
Right.
But I feel like it's something I used to do a lot. Like when I first started beatboxing, there were a lot of beatboxers that I would do covers of on stage, like from the UK and things like that. And I eventually phased my own way out of that as I started developing my own original music and stuff like that, because I just felt like I wanted to push that more than trying to replicate other people. But I don't want to diminish like, the benefit of trying to learn from other beatboxers and replicate their stuff, because that's just a great way to learn and to progress your own stuff.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
All right. We've talked a lot about dubstep. We're gonna switch genres on here. What's for your next song? What's a memorable time when you were first exposed to a band's artist or music? What song was playing during that time? Yeah, what was it?
Okay. So growing up, I listened to, I would argue it was just a lot of radio stuff, right? So when I said like I listened to a lot of Black Eyed Peas, I still have their CDs downstairs. Like it was just radio stuff, right? So when I say like, I listened to them, it's like I did. And some of them are still bangers. But like I eventually like shifted out of that. But that only happened when I was shit. Yeah, it was when I was playing baseball, right? I played baseball for a large chunk of my life, but there was one year where there's this kid on my team who we were friends, John, and he heavily tried to convince me to listen to a song. And like it was a whole new genre. It was metal. It was emo, right? It was like post-hardcore. Like think of Warped Tour, and it was that, right? It was This War Is Ours by Escape the Fate. But there's like more than one version of it. I think it was like the Guillotine or something like that, part 3. It was something weird. But the point is like because they have 2 different versions of 2 different albums. I listened to Escape the Fate. They're still good. Not their new stuff, their old stuff. I don't know their new stuff. I'm rambling. But the point is, he showed me the song in the dugout at baseball, and and immediately was like, fuck, I don't like this. Like they're screaming. I don't like anything about this in my head. I don't think I said that in person, but I did not like it. And I think it was because he was trying to convince me at that time to like, and maybe he didn't try to convince me until a little bit later to join his band. He wanted me to play bass. I never played bass. He was even going to buy me a bass. And I'm pretty sure his band actually went and did some tours or something at some point. I remember seeing it for a bit, but never did it. But the point is, once they played that song, I remember like going back and listening to it and listening and like finding other songs along that same genre track, right? And eventually I came to like screaming, and now I fucking love screaming, right? And I really appreciate it. And it's so funny to me that when I think back, my just immediate like I was appalled by it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no, this is not appealing to listen to. Now I'm like, fuck yeah, right? I want to learn how to scream. But yeah, no, I feel like that was a song because now that genre is like the entirety of my music taste, right? Now it's like once he played this, I was like, wait, what the fuck? Now I have like those albums on vinyl now, and I listen to so many other bands that are along the same. It honestly shifted what I liked after I started to enjoy that within like a few months after hearing it.
Wow. Let's take
hysterical.
Let's take a quick listen so we all know what you were exposed to and what changed the course of your musical taste. It's a good song for like you can identify, like we played a little clip and there's more parts to it where you can identify like a bunch of subgenres of metal playing out in there, right? I was impressed by it. I was not as familiar with this band, but it was interesting to see it kind of what we do with this show, right? We fit things in kind of a history or whatever, and seeing how this song and this band and this time fits into the history of it all and things. So
like I'm pretty sure in that song too, they have like a guitar solo at the end too, which is something you didn't really hear a whole lot within that genre of music. So I thought it was a fun little addition that they did for that one. But yeah, I don't know any of their new music. So they changed multiple singers. Most bands in this genre change singers pretty frequently. It's like a weird little symptom of like scene music where it's like a singer will have a controversy and they'll be out. Singer will have a controversy and they're out. They'll keep swapping them around.
Right.
But then the singer from that band, not off that album, went to another band that I like. So there's so many bands in that genre I like now. Yeah. So it is kind of funny that ended up doing that.
So you said at first you were like, I don't like this, you know, and then it grew on you. How long do you think that process took?
So what was the band? There was, so after I learned about this song, right? Like specifically, I loved what they called clean vocals, which was just singing, right? But like, and then you had like the more hard vocals, which were just screaming. I didn't like the screaming, and I liked the clean vocals. So there was this one band I remember. It was Bullet for My Valentine. Was that the band or was that the song?
Yeah.
I think it was the band, right?
Yeah.
And,
That is a band.
yeah,
I don't
and
know if it's the band you're talking about.
There
but
was
it
a
is
song.
band.
There was a song by them that I remember I found on YouTube. There was a version of it that just had clean vocals. Like they had they had screaming in a mix, but then they had a version with clean. So I liked that because I fucking loved the metal instruments. I think that's what I liked the most about this genre. At first, I love the instruments. I love the guitar. I love the drums. I love the breakdowns. I like headbanging, and like so I was like, I gotta learn to like the screaming. So eventually, I think I just grew into it. And just kind of like worked in. Probably took a few months. I don't know. I don't think it was like that long of it wasn't that hard of a fucking challenge. I just think I had to like get a little over the little bit of a hurdle of like it wasn't immediately appealing. And now again, I told you
the initial shock.
I told you before I started beatboxing, I wanted to learn how to scream, and I'm pretty sure at one point in my life, I think it's long gone. I think I deleted it, but there was a YouTube cover I uploaded for one of the songs from this band that we just played. Of me trying to scream, and oh god, it was fucking awful. Like I'm pretty sure it got like dislike bombed like immediately because it was so bad. I wish I still had the video. That'd been funny as hell, but I don't have it anymore. But no, it's a few months maybe. I don't think it was like that hard to get into it.
So as you started to appreciate this kind of music more, this genre more, did it start to seep into your music?
So I think when we're talking about when I was getting into this, I wasn't very good at beatboxing at that time, or even beatboxing at that time. So not quite.
Okay.
But like I said, now though, like because I listen to like more, I feel like my music style's been shifting slightly over the last year to get a little more like Midwest emo, but no, not quite like as hardcore. But like I was really heavy into like hardcore stuff with like heavy screaming and breakdowns. And so that kind of worked with dubstep too and rhythm, where everything was like getting hype, getting headbanging, just going crazy. And so that was a lot of my beatboxing. It still is. I still have a lot of tracks that are just like you work in like headbanging stuff, and I love that. And it's all power. So if you're on a stage, like the speakers will shake, and it's fucking awesome.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I clipped the hell out of my mic. But so oh shit, what was I saying? What was the question again?
It was whether metal started to seep into influence the music you're making.
Yes. Yes. So the answer is yes. Like I said, I even took influence for one of my tracks with like a stuttering of like a scream, like Fry vocal, and I from Bring Me the Horizon on one of their songs. It was like it was like Diamonds Aren't Forever or something. They were like oh, so like now I'll be like, let me hear you get louder, and I'll do something like that, like working with some crazy shit. But I fucked all that up. But the point is, you get the vibe where it's like I am influenced by it completely.
Right.
So
it's working its way in. That's pretty cool. Rasa, did you have something? I don't want to move ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, so you'd mentioned that you were into like radio, sort of poppy type, radio friendly type music before, and then you got into metal slowly. And I was just thinking, around the time when you were getting into metal, like when your friend in baseball introduced you to this song from Escape the Fate, this type of sort of emo hardcore melding is what was going on at the time. So I think that's why that was like your first exposure to it. Because if you were, one generation, maybe 10 years removed, it would have been like your sort of 80s thrashy sort of metal, which was a lot more sort of radio friendly. I mean, it could be anything from like Metallica to Bon Jovi to Black Sabbath or whatever. But then by the time 10 years fast forward, it was like Pantera had already had their sort of heyday, and death metal was huge. So this metal emo core stuff is that was your gateway. So don't beat yourself up. You're okay. You'll find you'll find the metal that you like.
Yeah, but I feel like
the metal will find you.
I feel like what you were saying too, though, at that time too, specifically, I kind of already touched on it earlier, but I wonder if because I guess when you think about it, when I listened to pop, like that's all there was. Like you had the radio, right? I mean, like at least at my age, girl. Like I mean, I said the radio. So unless I was to like go out and like specifically seek out like weird CDs that I would have to physically purchase and just like gamble on, right? And my parents weren't heavy into music outside of what they listened to on the radio, which was classic rock or anything like that. So I guess I didn't have that exposure. So the first like time a person was like, hey, check this out, then like, and again, YouTube and stuff like that really wasn't like truly a thing. Like, God, you didn't have like on demand like video searching at that exact, maybe at that time I did, but not much before that, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember specifically, if I want to hear a song, I have to go onto like Yahoo Music and click next a billion times to maybe get the radio like version of that
Right,
song.
right.
I don't know,
Yeah.
because again, kid internet was new, not everything
Yeah.
out there. Now it's like you can click shuffle on Spotify, you can find a billion new artists within a day, and you can find exactly what you would like, want to listen to.
Yeah.
Where that maybe
and
wasn't a thing back then.
And I appreciate you sharing that in that way. And Raza, your question, bringing it up of like, it's one of the goals of this show is that, all too often we either actually get judged for the music we listen to or whatever whatever we were listening to 10 years ago, or what were you listening to your senior year of high school, right? And people want to like judge it, or we just have the judgment going on in our head, right? Because we know, all right, maybe it wasn't the coolest thing I was listening to, but it's what I had. But the whole point of what we try and get across here is that, like what you said, you have access to the music you have access to, right? And it's getting easier to have access, right? Because the world's at our fingertips now and things. But even there, you still don't know what to look for in ways. And so, yeah, it's really just about that thing of like, the music finds us, those chance meetings, right? Of expose us to something that moves us in another direction, creates some new interest and some taste in something, and we go from there. And so it's really just about that, of realizing all of us are just on our journey, and we can't judge it after the fact because the journey is the journey.
Yeah, but I think so. Yes, I agree. I think a component that was really helpful back then to now versus now is community. So like, because you were just beholden to the radio, like streaming wasn't a thing back then, like, it sort of took that friend or that like older sister or older person that you looked up to kind of like expose you to music, versus now, yeah, you have streaming and you have like, endless songs at your disposal, but you're kind of beholden to the algorithm. Like if you don't know what to look for and you don't know what you don't know, the algorithm on Spotify or whatever, Pandora, whatever you listen to, like is never going to give me beatboxing or dubstep.
No,
Somebody would have to introduce it to me.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
That's
and
fair.
so I
That's
think
fair.
community, like people sharing of music is still important. Like I hope we don't drop that,
True. That's fair.
Yeah. All right. We all agree. We need community. Music community. So we'll move us ahead to your next song, and that's what is a song that's intimately connected to another activity?
So this one's definitely a personal one. So it's my song with my wife, because it's how we got engaged. So we wrote a song together, and it was like a really panicky time because we were moving, and she didn't know if she was getting proposed to during the music video of the song. But we were trying to move from one place to another, and we had to finish the song, and I was freaking out because I was like, we're going to California, like we're gonna be filming this music video, and the song's not even done for the music video yet, and blah blah blah. And I lost my train of thought here already. I saw my waveform recording over here on the right, and I totally lost my train. I'm really ADD, guys, I promise. But
well, if you want, what we can do is, because I have the YouTube pulled up at the video, we can watch the clip and then you can talk about it afterwards. Buy you some time to.
I'm already ready, but let's play it. Let's play it.
Now I'm falling right in. I feel a rush through my skin. I want you to stay here by me.
All right.
So, all right, I'll give you the story behind this then, real quick. So I think that's why it was a little more panicky, because there was so much going on with. I needed this video to like be done and work out for the proposal. So we were dating for like, God, how long were we dating? 7 years at that point, 8 years. But we were waiting until she was graduated college, like law school. So it was like, I was like, all right, I'm going to propose around this time. I already know this. And I already cued her brother in, who's a film producer out in, LA. He works for like Bad Robots, done all the Star Wars stuff. I'm actually going to be an extra in one of his movies coming out here soon. It's fucking great.
Nice.
I walk across the screen and take a piss in the urinal.
We'll look for you.
We invested in the movie. We were on set, and he's like, "I need someone to walk across the screen." And then he was like, "Tyler, you do it." I'm like, "I don't want to do it." And he goes, "You do it." And I was like, "All right." It was probably because I fit in the suit jacket of the extra or of the other guy. So yeah. Point is, tangent. Bring it back. He's a movie producer. I hit him up, and I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna propose to Cassie. Can you film a music video for us?" And he did it all for free because he's a fucking saint.
Nice.
But I eventually got it sponsored too by Brilliant Earth, which was the company she always wanted her ring from anyways. So I just like, fuck it, I'm a pitch to the company, and they dropped like thousands of dollars off the ring price. I'm like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
They didn't even want much either. They just wanted me to like show the ring box, show the
Right,
ring, you
right.
know, put their logo at the end of what. I was like,
Yeah.
this is a music video. I'm not talking in it, and they're like, okay, that works.
Right.
Um,
That's the lesson there.
but
It
just
worked
funny.
though,
ask.
because
You never know.
David was showing me the video, and I was like, "Ooh, Brilliant Earth!"
Yeah, Carolina knew it right away. I was
I was
showing
gonna
her
say,
before we got on, and she was boom.
We got our wedding bands from them too, so yeah, I think they just opened up a location by us. But regardless, it's funny because I actually had Cassie negotiate the contract without knowing it was the contract. I think because she's a copyright attorney, so she deals with the stuff. She at the time she just graduated though, but I had her helping me like do all the terms of like, you know, the licensing and what rights they would get out of it and stuff like. So I'm like, guys, this is a song. You're not getting the rights to my music, like, you know.
Right.
And so,
Right.
but I had her thinking it was the company Honey. I was like, yeah, I want to work with Honey, and this is their contract. I was like, well, what would you say in this situation? She had no idea. But the point is, yeah. So I was negotiating contracts, and then, you know, the song wasn't even done when we finished the video yet. But we had the structure laid out, and we didn't really need the song until he was editing it. But yeah, that's a song that we wrote together. There were a lot of nights and fake little studio booths and closets with a lot of blankets and pillows, which I don't even think I would do again. No, that was totally unnecessary to dead in the space like that. But I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
And then we drove out to the desert. We filmed all around LA. It was a lot of fun. Like, and it was just a whole memorable experience, like just filming a music video with, you know, my wife and with her brother. And it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those folks that are listening to the audio format of this podcast today, you know, you can catch us on YouTube, and we'll have the clip of the video on YouTube as well as the link to the whole thing in show notes, so you can see the proposal for yourself.
Awesome.
From what I hear, you're married, so the proposal obviously went well. But kind of what was her reaction to it? You know, doing it in this video of, you know, how did
Right.
that go over?
So I guess to start, like, the reaction was more just shock, because we already knew we were getting married. It was like we kind of been talking about it for like since like the first week we started dating. Like it just like we just immediately clicked on that level where it was just like it just kind of knew. And so obviously like throughout the years of like law school and even under like college, so we're always like, when will be the right time to propose? Never like, will you do it or will I say yes? It was always like, when should we do it? Because like, you got to plan a wedding, which, by the way, a lot of effort. Jesus, you guys all know if you guys planned weddings or if you were smart, and I don't know, but like,
It's like another full-time job.
Yeah, it really was. Like I had to like take off time of content creation and just like it was insane. There was so much effort to plan a wedding. Totally worth it in my eyes, but a lot of effort. But so the answer was, she was shocked because like I don't think she even, I mean, she could answer this for herself, but I don't think she had any fucking clue it was happening, which was my goal. And I'll tell you a story. I was really worried too. So the ring I had directly shipped to LA to her brother who picked it up for me, which again, that wasn't picked up until like one of the weird days we were there. It was like a weird like last minute thing because it was delayed, weird stuff. But the point is, I didn't pack a ring, and she, you know, we went through all the stuff we packed together. So she was like, all right, she told me like afterwards, like she's like, there was no ring, so I had no reason to suspect you were going to propose.
Right.
She's like, I went through all the packing with you. Like I would have seen a ring. So I got by with that by shipping it there directly.
There you go.
And so I just don't think she thought that I was going to do it on video either, which was kind of like the perfect way to do it. I don't know, for us, like we could just document what we wanted forever. And her dad came out to LA at the same time. I didn't even tell him I was going to propose to Cassie because I knew he would blab it out, Nick. So I told him like the night before at like a dinner, I was like, oh, by the way, I'm totally proposing to your daughter tomorrow. He goes, oh, fucking nice. I'm like, yes, awesome. And so she had no idea. So I think she was more just shocked, and she gets like embarrassed in front of people too with big things like that. So it's like, I think she was slightly shocked and also like, shit, I'm on camera, instead of like,
That's what I was thinking. Like, you're shocked, but you're like, shit, the video. Like, I gotta stay in context.
But we kept it small too. We were on like a beach in Malibu, which I actually come to figure out that I've seen in a couple other things in media. So apparently it's used enough. But the it was just like me, her brother, her dad, and then one of her brother's friends who was shooting photos for us. We have a bunch of photos from that as well. And it all made sense because we were supposed to be on camera anyways. But we were worried because the day of the video we were shooting that, she went and got her nails done, right? And we were like, oh shit, she's got to fucking know, right? She's getting her nails done before she gets proposed to, right? But no, she got her nails done black. And so when we saw her nails black, we were like, oh, she has no fucking idea. We're good. And we were making jokes. But like, I mean, she that's what she would do. I think she loves to do different colors and everything like that. So it just made complete sense. But it was funny though. Because we thought she knew, but she had no idea.
Yeah. I love it. And you have it forever now.
Exactly, right? We even share, I even put my wedding video on my channel. They don't like that. They aren't like the music video. Like it was, a song that we produced. I was like, all right, I want to put that there. The wedding video is just like, if anyone actually cares out there, since you've watched us years past, like here it is. Here's an update, and you pay a lot of money for wedding videography. It's like, it might as well go somewhere.
Right.
And she did a killer
Make use
job
of it.
too, so yeah.
I love that.
So her reaction to the proposal, I mean, that's all
all
legit.
real. That's all 100% real.
Wow. It's awesome.
And
it wasn't like the 12th take or anything like
no,
that.
No, there was only one take for everything here, and especially when we were in that damn desert. We were like, I was in the middle of the desert. I don't know why I decided to wear sweatpants in like LA heat in the middle of a desert. Fucking stupid. We were powering everything off his car. So like I was legit live looping on the spot with all that stuff. I mean, just so like I could like act it properly for the music video.
Right.
Like we fucking bought power adapters for his car, hoping his car wouldn't die. We were getting sunburnt out there. I'm pretty sure she ended up with like pretty decent sunburn after that event. It was just fun though. We just had it was just like, it's just a good memory. It's just a whole lot of just fun baked into that entire trip.
Yeah.
No,
Well, just a good memory thinking about like, I don't know, 20 years from now, right? When you're talking about it. And it's not just like you captured the proposal on video, but it was to a song that you both worked on, So it feels like, it just feels extra special.
It's fun.
Good stuff.
Thank you for sharing with us.
I can't sing. She sings because we met in acapella. So she sang on it. But, and I mean, I think it's funny because like it was a little bit rushed on the production of the song. I feel like we would have definitely done some things differently if we were to do it now. I think she even wants to do like a stripped down like acoustic version of it at some point, but I need to learn to play guitar or something. Yeah, or piano to work that in. She plays piano, so she probably could do that. But yeah.
I love it. Well, Tyla, we are at your last song.
All right.
I feel like that went by pretty fast.
Kind of.
But we're here. So for your sixth and final song, what's a song that was a part of just a perfect moment where everything felt right?
That would be If I'm James Dean, You're Audrey Hepburn by Sleeping With Sirens. And I say that because that was I got married 2 years ago, and that was our last dance song. So at the end of our wedding, we kind of kicked everyone out, and we just had like a solo dance to that song. Because that's been our song ever since we started dating. Because like there was the first time like we ever listened to it together, there was like we were dating for like a week, right? We're talking like at this point like 11 years ago. We were dating for like a week. And we played the song in my car driving to like one of my baseball games, windows down. I can't even explain why it was such a good moment, right? But we both remember it for some reason. Whereas like we were playing the song, singing all the lyrics, and it was just like driving through some like backwoods area in like Fredericksburg, going to a baseball field, right? No explanation why that was so like sticking out in my head, but it was. So it became our song throughout the years, and one of our favorite bands. We're actually gonna go see them again here in September. And it became our last dance song. And I guess, I don't know, after all the wedding planning and all the stress and all that stuff that goes into it, you hit the last song, you're like, nice. This is calm. This is our dance. We did it. We're married. It's like that guy. So I feel like that's that. Plus, again, it's just been our song for like a decade. So. never would have known about the song if I never heard Escape the Fate, This War Is Ours, because they're in the same genre, same
Right.
era. See, I'm telling you, like music, they just like you learn one thing and it just shifts everything. So
Absolutely.
but there's
Yeah, and I think-
there's an acoustic version to that song too, and they're both so good.
Which did you dance to? Was it this
Oh,
version or the acoustic?
Don't do that to me. Shit.
We won't air this live. We won't air
No,
this out.
you could totally air it. That's totally fine.
Ah.
Because I would want to say it was the acoustic, but I would be probably wrong on that. Again, everything goes by so quick. I don't remember if it was the acoustic or not the acoustic. I remember all the
Sure.
titles.
You totally get a pass. Weddings,
yeah.
it's hard to remember.
If you ask
everything.
me details,
There's no
Wouldn't know.
pass. I need to know that.
Caroline and I were just talking about it the other day about we were somehow just talking about officiating weddings and things, and we were saying how, oh yeah, the person that officiated our wedding was so great, and we were both like, I don't remember a word she said, but you know, like
lovely lady,
she was great. And so yeah, it's all just a blur.
You know, we had my cousin officiate it, and it was funny because he was like, oh yeah, I've got license to officiate or whatever like that. And I had no expectations for his speech, right? I had no expectations of anything going into it. Man wrote the best shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
Nice.
Worked like perfect. He worked in beatboxing and music, and he wrote fucking poems, man. It was great.
Whoa.
Like it shocked. Like it didn't
Nice.
shock me because like I know him to a degree, but like I was like, what the fuck? Hell yeah! Like this is amazing.
Yeah.
But apparently also in Virginia, officiating is very weird if you didn't know that. Yeah, you have to get like specifically licensed by certain things. You can't just get like online to go to a court and shit. That was a nightmare. That was like the week before the wedding. We're like, are we going to have an officiant? Like, what's going on?
Oh wow.
Oh goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that.
Always
It feels like it
keeping
was
exciting.
super personal from the officiant to. I kind of love
It
the
was.
fact that you like kicked everyone out and it was like just you two there at the end
Mhm.
dancing to this.
Yeah, I think we saw that idea somewhere. We're like, oh no, we're doing that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like the reverse of a first look. It's like a last look.
Mhm.
You get the last moments together.
Mhm.
All right.
That's awesome.
Well, we've come to the end. It's been quite a journey you've taken us on.
Mhm.
How does it feel to hear your life reflected through these 6 songs?
Yeah, it makes me question why my Humps by the Black Eyed Peas changed the entire trajectory of my life. But it makes me realize that we're here because of that song. So that's that. No, it's
We
fun.
say
It's
it
fun.
all the
It's
time. Yeah,
fun
the
to
song
think
picks
about.
you.
Yeah, it's fun to think about, that because music is such a big part of my life, what things actually started to change things. I never thought about it like that before, So it's like when you go through this and you guys are asking me these questions, it's kind of like, oh shit. Yeah, So it's just interesting to think about.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
Of course.
Yeah, and
thanks
it
for
can
having
kinda-
me.
Go ahead, Raza.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that the Black Eyed Peas songs was definitely a pivotal moment for you in your professional journey. So that's awesome. That and your friend, by the way, right?
Nope, he doesn't beatbox anymore. So yeah, I think that was like a 1 week short-lived thing for him. For me, it took on to a passion. For him, it was just like a quick little thing, and he moved on to the next thing.
Yeah. But
Nice.
what an important lesson there for all of us, right? In that sense of like we talked a little bit about community and a good amount about friends during our time today. And your friend at that time was like, hey, this is really cool. I'm into this. I'm going to share it with this other person I know. And he easily could have not, right? And so, that lesson of, share what you're into with your people around you, because you never know who is going to be influenced by it. Like you said, he did it for maybe a little bit and it was just a little passing fad of like, this seems cool, but he passed it along to you and you ran with it and it became such a part of your life. And if he hadn't had shared it, that wouldn't have happened. So
For some reason, it
share
became an
interest.
obsession, kind of like what you're saying. It was weird.
Yeah. That's
I'm
awesome.
not complaining.
That's awesome.
No, and doing enough of these episodes now, like I think we're not surprised as hosts. We see it so often as you all go through your journey of these 6 songs and you start to see like just the songs pick you and they sometimes don't make any sense, but like just play this huge role in your life for some reason. It's been really interesting to watch across all our guests and you've shown today that still holds true. Doesn't make any sense why it was the Black Eyed Peas, but damn it, it was.
It was.
But it was. We're not quite done yet. We're going to kick it over to Raza, who's just going to wrap us up with our lightning round.
Oh God.
Yes. Yeah. Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't like this. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right. We'll keep it very, very simple. Basically, what we want to know is what was your first, last, and best or favorite concert experience?
Shit. First concert experience. The first one I ever went to that I can remember, like that I went to on my own and not like, parents bringing you to something maybe when you're young.
Or that.
Yeah.
The thing is,
however you want to answer it.
I think the answer is I wouldn't be able to answer that one because it was probably for a band that I never was interested in because it was like, whatever. But the first band that I ever went to see We Came as Romans when I was a senior in high school with a friend, which again was off the same like, kind of emo hardcore track as Escape the Fate that we talked about. Which I heard Sleeping with Sirens there. Had no idea who they were at the time, right? Like we were listening to them on the car ride down to the concert. I'm like, I don't know if I like them or not, right? And now they're one of my favorite bands, which actually is like a lot of my favorite bands where I don't know if I liked them at the start of it, and then I like Circus Survive. My friend tried to show me them like 20 times, and I was like, nah. Favorite band. And it's funny how that works. Now unfortunately they're not a band anymore, but they were. But the point is, it was We Came as Romans, and it was like a lineup of like 5 bands. It was like Sleeping with Sirens, We Came as Romans was the headliner. There was like Emir, which I never listened to, but they were doing breakdowns every 5 fucking seconds in that goddamn song. And I'm pretty sure I got a concussion from it because someone was crowd surfing. They threw them from behind and we were so far in the front. And it was my first concert. I had no fucking idea. Right. Like, at these concerts, people open up pits and they do slam dancing where they're kicking and shit. I think it's goofy because I just like, who wants to kick people in the face? But you know what? If people like that, that's on them. That's totally their prerogative. I don't want to be in those pits. So I was trying to avoid that. But then someone got thrown from behind me and I wasn't aware and they landed on my head. I don't know what happened for the rest of that band set. I'm pretty sure I had a concussion, but I think I still enjoyed the headliner that I was there for, but now I don't remember. So I might have had a concussion for that. Favorite concert? You said first, favorite, and last, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
First,
go
last,
ahead.
and favorite. Yeah. First,
no,
last,
you go first. You go first. What were you gonna say?
That was it.
Okay.
First concert, last concert,
favorite was Bring Me the Horizon. Absolutely, was one of my top like 3 bands of all time. Cassie, my wife, bought us tickets a few years back, and we went to one of their concerts here. They were playing at like George Mason or something like that, like the Patriot Center or something like that.
Patriot Center,
and fucking phenomenal, dude. Like I just love everything about the band and their stage presence and everything. Loved it. And plus we know every word to every single song they play, so it makes it very easy to like sing everything out loud. Even though I can't scream some of the stuff, we still try. And the last concert was also Bring Me the Horizon with Fall Out Boy. Nice. Fall Out Boy. Nice. It's funny because Bring Me the Horizon in my head's a headliner, but Fall Out Boy was headliner.
Right.
I guess, but number wise, a lot bigger, and they were playing at Jiffy Lube Live.
Nice.
So it was very weird seeing Bring Me the Horizon open, but we were primarily there for one of the openers. But we stayed for Fall Out Boy because they're also like a classic, and grew up listening to them too. So
I think Fall Out Boy gets the sort of legacy, street cred, right?
I mean, kind of. Their music is still good though. Like even some of the new shit. Like awesome. We heard. I didn't listen to a lot of their new stuff prior. But getting ready for the concert, we started listening to the music, and I liked a lot of their new stuff too. But
I think Bring Me the Horizon is probably way heavier.
Oh God, yeah. That's why it was so funny when you were there for the openers and like Bring Me the Horizon's like going fucking crazy and screaming and breakdowns, and all the people here are like, we're here for Fall Out Boy. We want to hear Dance, and we're just like, yeah, and all that shit. So it was funny because it's just like it was a completely different vibe, and they were playing like it was still light outside, so it was like it wasn't like what the normal vibe would be.
Right.
So it was kind of funny looking around and seeing that, but. Oh, another good concert I went to Coheed and Cambria in Colorado because we were out in Colorado. Like, wait, shit, they're playing. So we drove like an extra 2 hours to go see them play. That was also wild.
That's a great band too.
Oh yeah. And like I remember specifically again prepping for that concert. She likes to learn every lyric to every song prior to the concerts. So like we were listening to Coheed like on loop going to Colorado. So we
nice.
I knew every word even though I was just like kind of like just listening to them at that point too.
Was that at Red Rocks by chance in Colorado?
Great question. I have no idea.
Okay. I mean, was it like an outdoor amphitheater? That's
Yeah.
like the coolest, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that probably was.
It wasn't that one. No. I know what you're talking about. It was not that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
No, that one
That's
would
the
be
one
cool.
with all the red rocks.
We drove we drove by that one, but we never actually went there because I think we just thought, I don't know, we just went out to we got a cabin out in the middle of the fucking woods in Colorado. It was dope as shit. Like it was like
Nice.
to get to the fucking cabin, you had to drive like 30 minutes on some back bumpy road. We were like, where the fuck are we going? We're gonna die. That's what we thought, but did not die and saw a cool concert. So that was good.
Nice. Sounds like a win, man.
Successful trip.
That wasn't very quick of a quick round. I'm so sorry.
To be honest, they never are. So we designed it to be a lightning round.
Almost
for
every
whatever
guest.
reason.
It's
I never
almost
say
like, yeah, it's almost like everyone that comes on like finishes their 6 songs and we're like, hey, you're done, we made it. And then it's like we just do this and people are like, okay, I can just talk. And it's like, yeah, I just want to tell you stories about concerts because it happens every guest.
Meanwhile, I'm running you guys almost up to 2 hours right now because I just keep yapping, baby. Let's go. Next one. Next question.
No
Let's do
The
it.
power of editing.
Well, this is for real now, the wrap up. This is,
Okay.
you know, before we kind of sign off for our audience today, in the last couple of minutes we have left, we'd love to kind of give you the floor to let the audience know what you've got going on, how folks can check you out, and yeah, floor is yours.
Yeah. So I create videos on YouTube. I guess right now I'm focusing a lot on short form content, but I need to get back to long form. So you could find me on TikTok, Instagram. For some reason, Snapchat videos do okay. Facebook's a thing. So I kind of have platforms everywhere. Primarily YouTube, though, for TylaDubya, TylaDubya. I'm a beatboxer and I teach a little bit, but I guess I'm going to try to start probably shifting more to the entertainment side of things because I feel like that reaches a larger audience. And if you want to make this a career, you have to reach a larger audience. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. So if you want to check out some beatboxing and some dumb shit, come check me out on YouTube.
All right, Tyla, yes, it was so great having you on and teaching us all about beatboxing. And so we'd love for you to play us out with some backing tracks. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of A Life in 6 Songs. Thank you so much for listening and watching. You all know what to do. Like, follow, subscribe on whatever platform you are doing right now. You can find us on YouTube and all the platforms where you get your podcasts. And with that, this has been A Life in 6 Songs. Tyla, take us out. Awesome.